Hello, everybody. Welcome to Tadaima, a Terrace House podcast, your weekly companion to your favorite show on Netflix. I am Robert Scarpanito, and I'm joined here by Daily Wilhelm.
Konbanwa.
Jack Cepeda.
Everybody, wake up. I hope you weren't too peaceful there. How's it going, everybody?
Okay, I need to ask, what did you punch? Because it looked like you punched something while saying that.
I had to punch something. I don't know.
It was
My
Colin.
hand hurts really bad, though.
Punch the sleep that's within you. And our favorite boy, Colin Sparling. Please don't yell.
Konbanwa. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm realizing that I am becoming the only one who is not consistent in their greetings.
I mean, I kind of have
your
to
consistency is being inconsistent. And don't yawn. You're not allowed to yawn either. Damn it.
I know. I don't know what it is. Every time I sit down and do the show, it's like a Pavlovian response. I just start yawning.
Yeah, that's the first thing you want to hear on this show, guys.
Yeah.
We yawn when we record.
I love you guys, but you bore me to death.
It's all those warm beverages, man. How many cups of coffee have you had today?
I actually have not had a single cup of coffee. I had one cup of tea earlier today.
That's why you're
And
yawning.
all I have today is, that's all I have right now is water. That's probably true because I'm depriving myself of my daily caffeine intake.
I don't even know you anymore. What's going on?
Yeah, Colin, we need to talk. The caffeine is too much a part of your body. We need to sit you down and have an intervention.
I know, that's why I'm trying to wean myself off. I think I do need a caffeine intervention.
You having the shakes.
Caffeinvention.
Can I ask you guys a question? If they made Jell-O shots, but they were coffee flavored,
Yes.
would that be horrible or would that be awesome?
I'd take it.
Yes.
I would take it in a heartbeat.
Why doesn't that exist yet? Copyright.
I don't
go.
think you can
You can't just yell copyright.
I don't think you
Yes,
can
I did.
copyright.
I can and I did.
No, Jell-O is already copyrighted though, Jack. It's Jell-O TM.
Jell-O is literally the fucking brand of gelatin.
You can say
All right.
coffee gelatin, and
yeah.
you'd be fine there.
That does sound
Coffee
gross.
animal bones.
No, what you do is, the secret to good iced coffee is you don't use ice cubes. You just freeze coffee into an ice tray. And then
Yep.
when it melts, it's just more coffee in your coffee.
Yes.
I like how this has everything to do with Shunsuke.
Yes.
Yes.
Welcome to the coffee cast of Tadaima. No, so
Aw.
in today's
Hey,
episode,
Shinsuke drinks coffee.
everyone has drank coffee, Colin. you can't use that as a baseline. Like, I can relate to him.
Your mom goes to college.
Today, we are doing another kind of After the House episode. We're doing a deep dive here on Shunsuke Ikezoe, the man who was on Terrace House for, I think, probably too few weeks, because he was there for maybe like 6-7 episodes. And then
It was
bailed.
about 2 months. Even like he says 2 months in this interview we're about to talk about, but I'm pretty sure that's a little long.
Yeah.
Not enough time. Not enough time.
He didn't have his time to shine, because if you listen to last week's episode, we did a pretty good look at the lost tapes of Terrace House, is what we called them. They're just another Terrace, deleted scenes that they didn't air on the show for reasons that will become clearly apparent if you listen to our episode. But we get to see glimpses of Shunsuke there that we were like, man, where has he been this whole time? So now we're going to shine that spotlight that Terrace House didn't give to Shunsuke on him. And I'm sure this is what he wanted, a podcast to look at him, right?
Happy times.
How would you guys feel if someone just released a podcast about you? Just about you. That's it.
Can you guys do that? Can I sit out next week? You just talk about me the whole time.
About Jack. We need you to record an intro and exit interview first, and then we'll analyze that. So with Shunsuke, we're going to be looking at his welcome interview along with his exit interview and this interesting about 10-minute long special clip that the Terrace House folks released that gets a little buck wild and pretty cool, actually. We'll save that one for the end. But let's open things up with the wonderful welcome interview of Shunsuke Ikezoe.
Can I just first of all say the way they positioned him? There's a rainbow on the opposite building.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I actually caught that too, and I was like, did they do that on purpose?
I feel like it.
I feel like they were like, we're going to shoot in this cafe. Oh my gosh, there's a rainbow over there. This is where you have to sit now.
Things are pretty deliberate, in the way they frame stuff, I feel.
Yeah, so this clip, again, comes to us from Costco subs. Thanks, guys, for that. This clip was translated by Kurisuke, and subs by Gabweeb. So they open up this video with just the word Confessions Volume 13, which I felt like was super dramatic for just like, this guy's going to be on Terrace House. What's he like? Right?
Yeah.
And they chop it up in just like a bunch of questions. So the first question they ask is, what's his reason for moving in? And there, he tells the crew the same thing we've pretty much heard throughout most of his time on Terrace House. How he questions his sexuality. He didn't really know, does he lean bi, gay, straight? So he wanted to go on Terrace House to figure that out. What caught me is he said that he like researched this, like he researched it online. And I couldn't help but get a pang of like, oh no, like be very wary about where you look online because shit could get nasty very fast.
Yeah, what caught me, like when he talked about researching the topic, he noted that there just wasn't that many resources about it, which I thought was interesting because I feel like that there is a lot of resources, at least here. Like you go, I don't know if that's a matter of like in terms of the Japanese side of the internet is what he's referencing. But like I feel like there is a lot of like forums and Reddit threads, I'm sure, or like just Facebook groups, social media, blah blah blah, like talking about being gay or bisexual or any sort of sexuality. I feel like there's a place for that.
Hold on real quick before we get too deep. Did we say that we're linking these videos?
Oh yeah, they will be in the description.
Okay, so go down there, check them out, either before or after or during. But yeah, that.
Oh yeah,
good.
Thanks for bringing that up. Yeah.
So yeah, is that stuff available? Can we know?
I feel like maybe the issue that he ran into is because he's not defining himself as one or the other, straight or gay. He's like, I don't want to say that I'm just gay because I still like girls. I've gone out with girls. Girls are cool. And there's definitely, like, even within the LGBT community, there's like discrimination against bi people because it's like, well, it's either one or the other, when that's like totally not true. The B apparently stands for like bees, I guess, instead of bisexuality in LGBT, whatever. And I worry that maybe when he like went to go look stuff up, like it did become just like he got a lot of like fetishized results. Because like if you just put in one or like any sexuality, it becomes really sexual, if that makes sense. It stops being about identity and more about like
Porn?
The things people label porn. Yes.
Yeah. And go ahead.
I was just gonna say my major takeaways from watching all of these videos, like overarching, was that I also was wondering like how can you not know, like just thinking like I hope that he does get to figure it out, but like it was like 2 months, right? Didn't he say that like he's only been kind of letting people know that he's had these feelings like about as early as 2 months ago, so he's still like very much trying to figure it out, for himself. And I think that by then, we'll get there later, but I think by the end of the show he has a pretty good direction of where he wants to go next.
Yeah,
he's got goals.
And I mean, a part of that too just comes from societal pressures, like a lot of media will tell you, oh, you're a guy? Well, of course you like girls. Why don't you like girls, you dummy, right? And all of that just kind of like, you internalize that and you're like, oh, wait, but I kind of like that guy. Should I like that guy? I don't know. That's weird, man. Am I weird? And all that. I think that's what Shunsuke was suffering from. And this next question they ask, to me, this was like wild, okay? They ask him, have you come out to your family? He says he hasn't told anyone. And furthermore,
right,
the family members find out about this via watching Terrace House live on TV.
And he's close with his oldest sister.
Right.
She helped him with the makeup and eyebrows and stuff. But right, I was really that was nerve-wracking to hear.
Yeah, because finding out something that major about your child on a TV show probably isn't going to make any sort of relative happy.
I mean, I would imagine, I'm not a parent, I have a cat, but I would imagine that they would be a little hurt to know that he didn't feel like he could bring it up to them.
Exactly.
He doesn't seem to have a close relationship with his family, though. He said that he hadn't been home in a long time, and like he hadn't seen the one sister in like 6 or 7 years, even though he's 21.
And I think in his exit interview, he even mentions like he doesn't have a good relationship with his parents, or at least like they don't communicate super often anyway. And he alludes to like whatever they end up thinking about me, I'll have to accept that, which kind of makes me think, oh, maybe they aren't necessarily supportive of his quote unquote alternative lifestyle.
I also got the impression he didn't seem too worried about it either. He seemed, at least my impression was just like, he's like, hey, whatever happens, happens. You know,
I
he's
mean,
not gonna
maybe
tear himself
that's
up about it.
for him a harder conversation to have one-on-one than it would just be like, hey, so you saw Terrace House. I didn't have to like stumble trying to explain myself in front of you.
Right. That's true, because that sort of thing I can only imagine is very nerve-wracking coming out to like someone like your family. Because I mean, especially in America here, you know, you have the diehard Christian traditional families that are like, oh, you're gay, well, you're out of the house. Like you're basically exiled from the family, which is terrifying. And so like I definitely understand that. And now that he has that sort of platform to better communicate himself, he doesn't have to worry about being nervous. You know, he doesn't have to worry about saying the right things. You know, his parents can kind of just take it as it is. And maybe in some ways that it allows them to adjust a little bit easier. But at the same time, that initial shock, I definitely could see them being upset.
Yeah. Just for some context about Japanese culture and the LGBT community, for a good majority of people, I think I remember seeing the number like 58% of people polled said that they didn't have any problem with like LGBT people and wouldn't discriminate. But simultaneously, there was another poll that said that 72% of people would have trouble coming to terms if their child came out to them.
Yikes.
Ooh, that's kind of scary.
It's like that's a huge discrepancy here. And I wonder if it is because of the issues in Japan right now with you know, the birth rate is super low and no one's having kids, and there like MP came out and was like, I don't like the LGBT community because they're unproductive and thus they don't benefit society because they don't have children, even though they do have children.
Right.
So he goes on, and the commentator or whoever's hosting this interview asks him, what's keeping you from telling your family? And he says something that I quoted, because to me this kind of sounds more like a self-confidence problem, and it's just nice to kind of mark this as like this is before he goes on Terrace House. He said, I'm not hiding right now, but I don't like this version of myself who's indecisive and unable to communicate my feelings well. Right. And, you know, he just goes on and talks about how, like, he's hoping that when he goes into Terrace House, he can find that resolve, find that confidence to not only find out who he is and be comfortable in that skin, but also to be the person who, you know, initiates dates and that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think the best part about what he said there is like, well, dude, you already noticed that you have a problem, right? And that's, you know, as people say, that's like the first step. You know what I mean, to solving it. So, and I think he really does. Even though he had a pretty short time on Terrace House, he does come out of his shell. You know, even though it's not towards the very end, we don't really get to see too much of it. He does come out of his shell, and I think that he becomes that much more accepting of himself. How his lifestyle changes after that, I'm not sure. But from what they show us, I think we can say that.
Come out of the shell, yeah, he was hijacking Noah's underwear. I would say so. He was having a grand old time.
And that's the thing. He was like totally unabashed about it. He's like, oh yeah. And then the whole thing with Taka, he was like, no, I want you to wear my underwear. Why won't you wear my underwear, Taka?
Please leave some of your
shut up.
Yeah, sure. I had a question for you guys, especially considering this entrance interview and how it was mostly centered around like his sexuality. Do you guys feel like he wound up kind of being like a token because of that? It was like he wasn't or typecast. Yeah, he wasn't Shunsuke. He was the bi character member, etc.
I think to a degree, yes, and it's mainly because of a lot of the editing choices that they made for his character, because they just kind of always ployed for that. And I understand that that's like an important landmark in Terrace House's history, but I mean, even after a short stint, we didn't even really know much about him, like what his passions were, like who he was personality wise. I mean, the mere fact that we had to search these things out, these extra little tidbits, to better get to know him, I think is saying something. And even after that, it's still very much centered around his sexuality.
Unfortunately, I think it is there a little bit of that tokenism in a way, like he's typecast because they're trying to break new ground, and because Terrace House has this history of a show of being, 3 women, 3 men, all hetero, go at it, and date each other, battle royale style. But
They kill each other. Yeah.
They kill each other, yes.
Yeah. No,
Last one
Battle
standing.
Royale. Battle Royale, by the way, one of my favorite movies of all time. That's also Japanese. Okay. Might be on Netflix still. So anyways, so someone has to do that, right? Someone has to be the icebreaker. Someone has to break through. Sadly, he was not there very long. I think that's kind of the prevailing, it sounds like, the theme of the major complaint among the 4 of us is like, man, if only he had more time there. So I'm fairly confident. I don't know why, but I'm fairly confident he's not going to be the last member that is going to, where they're going to be a member of the LGBT community. And hopefully, when that does happen again, we'll be able to really get a better sense of who they are and spend more time with them in the house. Maybe not like Armand levels, but who can be at this stage.
Same.
Taka was almost there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was also someone in next door who beat him out by a lot of weeks.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Let me think here. So the way I see it is kind of like, at the end of the day, I think Shunsuke was a token, which is unfortunate, but it like what Jack said, someone needs to break the ice with like the Terrace House atmosphere, I guess, because it's all been set up to be hetero relationships, never any bi. But what I'm hoping is Shunsuke can lead us to a place where, like, if the next person who's bi in Terrace House, their whole arc isn't figuring out whether they're bi, but it's just like, yeah, but I coach a soccer team, or I do illustration, or like whatever their job is, and then like the relationships they make, like that would be the focus, like who they are as a person, rather than just they're gay. Cool.
Right. And I think a big reason why they kind of ended up turning him into that token too, right, was because his sole reason that he was there was his sexuality, right? So like that was like his goal, right? That obviously tells the producers and the editors, like, okay, yeah, that is his goal too. So maybe we do need to center it more around that, because that is his arc. However, if we got another character, like Robert was saying, who was like a coach or something like that, and like pursues their passion and already knows themselves well enough to know that, yeah, they're a fully committed bi or gay person, or lesbian rather, they can just that is their character, and that's just an aside. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, I feel like had he been there longer, it would have stopped. Like, we wouldn't have to have that conversation over and over again. The fact that he's bi, it would have become about, he's going to school for cosmetology, or he wound up making really good friends with Yui and Aya, which I don't think we got to see a whole lot of.
We got to see a little bit, but not very much.
A little bit.
Yeah,
but not
just
very
a tease.
much.
Yeah. And something to kind of bring us back to the interview, right, is like, this is, I guess, a good illustration of like his tokenism in a way. So they ask him about his interest in hair and makeup, where he tells a story about how when he was in 6th grade, his older sister put color contacts in his eyes. And at first he was like, this is weird, but then he kind of grew to like it, started practicing makeup on himself, then wanting to do it on others. And that led to his whole, like, I want to be in the hair and makeup industry, which is really cool. And he ends that segment of the interview by saying that tomorrow, which I believe like that would be the day he goes to Terrace House, because he also says like, tomorrow, like, I'm really interested to see how the guys are going to react to like me being bisexual, or like considering, like, who am I? And so he says tomorrow he has that exam to get a license to actually like professionally practice hair and makeup. Right. And we didn't see a thing about that until he gets the certificate, which kind of feels like it came out of nowhere, right, in like the actual show.
Sure.
Right.
Terrace House is guilty of this. And more, this is just yet another case as well, too. Ways the shows can improve, hopefully, down the road.
Yeah, it's just like we don't get to see any bit of his professional life. It's just he might be gay.
Mm-hmm. And, he's coming, like, to Colin's point earlier, like, he's coming into the show when he's still trying to discover, who he is. He's not sure yet. He's testing the waters. He's here to kind of learn about himself.
Yeah.
essentially. So that's, and then he didn't want to stay long after I think basically he was out as soon as he learned which direction he wanted to go, and then also learned that it wasn't really a possibility with roommates, I should say.
Yeah, and he brings up in the same interview, I believe, that he was kind of scared going into the house, that even if to his face the members were very accepting of like his goal and what he was trying to do at the house and his possible bisexuality, but he was afraid that they were still internally like very overly cautious about it or very not okay with it, I guess. They just hide it from him, or they like talk about him behind his back or something like that. We never really saw that, which I'm hoping that just means that it hopefully didn't happen, right? But I mean, yeah, so like it's kind of scary to think about, because now looking back, especially after that clip that we saw of Taka kind of asking him all those pointed questions, I really hope that part of that wasn't him being scared away, him leaving rather.
So his exit interview, the first thing I immediately noticed, he looks a lot happier.
Definitely smiling more. Definitely kind of coming out of his shell. Yeah, like a weight has been lifted. Like he's like, I know now. That was what I mainly got out of that. He's like, I know where I want to go. I know the kind of person I want to date next. I hope I date a dude next. He didn't say it like that, but in so many words.
Yeah, and
practically.
He's at this point now where he actually thinks, like, after he confessed to Soda, he thinks he might actually like guys more than girls. So it's like it's cool that he's actually like he's able to say that with vindication, or conviction, where he's like
vindicated.
He's vindicating it. Yeah. No, he's truly convinced. Like, yeah, this is me. Like, this is who I am. He actually feels like he's confident in himself.
I don't know if you invented a word just there, or maybe the name of a Decepticon. But I'm for it either way.
Vindiction.
Vindicticon.
The Shunsuke story.
God.
Emphasis on dick. No.
Yeah.
Hey, nice. So there was a lot of stuff about Noah in this exit interview that was surprising, kind of.
Yeah. You got a little bit of a tell-all.
Yeah. So like they ask him, hey, so what about Noah? And I think Shunsuke said, as I said in my new member interview, I'm into foreigners and half Japanese people. I don't remember him saying that. And we just finished covering the entrance interview, right?
Maybe they cut it. Yeah, maybe they cut it.
They cut it. They had to. They probably cut it.
Yeah. But when he first met Noah, he like couldn't look directly at him. He was like looking at the sun. He had to like look, like it was just like half a second. He had to look away. Like, I can't.
Can I real quick just poll the room here? Has anyone ever else done that, where you sit next to somebody, you're like, whoa, I'm so attracted to you. I don't want you to notice that I want to look at you, so I'm just not gonna look at you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, totally.
Really?
I feel like that's
Totally
a human
been in that
experience.
situation. Yeah.
I hope so. I'm glad to hear. It's a nerve-wracking feeling. So he brought me back to those feelings when he described it.
Mm-hmm. And they ask him just straight up, hey, so what are your feelings for Noah? And Shinsuke's straight up like, if Sana and Noah weren't dating, and if he were like not straight, would have pounced on his ass.
Yeah, he just said straight up.
Yeah,
like,
he
I
says that.
made a move.
Get in line, not if Mayu gets to him first.
Oh
True.
my gosh.
But I mean, he does say he would have tried to make a move on Noah. It's to the point where, like, when he saw Yui's pictures of them at Konyaku Park. Remember Konyaku Park, guys? Remember that nice
how
memory?
can you forget?
Gosh, that was a while ago.
Yeah, when he saw those pictures, he was like a tiny bit jealous.
I was jealous too. It's like, I want to go to Konyaku Park. I want a foot bath and eat ice cream cones.
Same.
It was a good date.
It
was a date, y'all.
It was a good date. It was a good date.
Now that I think about it, I know we're talking about Shunsuke, but just, I'll take any moment I can to dunk on Noah. I think that Konyaku Park date was like the only episode where we saw Noah try like anything.
Yes.
He was stuffing Konyaku into that bag like a motherfucker.
Like, it was
And
yeah, go ahead.
he had been the one to be like, hey, let's go and everything.
Mm-hmm. Since then, he just drinks.
Yeah, it was
he had to recover from Konyaku Park. That took out everything from him. He stopped studying to be a pilot. He stopped working. He started drinking, all because of Konyaku Park.
Yeah.
He stopped at the
Cognac Park.
Yeah, exactly.
Cognac Park.
Yeah.
Oh my
I went
gosh.
to that.
I'll go there.
I thought it was interesting too, though, the way he said that he did not like when Noah like patted him on the head getting out of the bath. And that kind of confirms what we've been talking about for a while on this podcast, is that we think Noah like was like kind of basking in the idea that Shunsuke liked him and was kind of taking advantage of that just because he's kind of a narcissist. Not kind of, he is a narcissist.
He totally is. Like, and you know
totally
what?
Was.
Like, objectively, yeah, he's a, I think, maybe I shouldn't say objectively. Subjectively, he's attractive to a lot of people, but it's his personality that really makes me hate him.
Well, what I found weird, though, is that Shunsuke, like, after saying he didn't like it when Noah pat his head, he also said that, I think Noah treated me with no prejudice. Like, he treated me like a person, not a bisexual.
Yeah.
And he thought that Noah was, like, the nicest person on Terrace House, which was a weird thing to hear.
Well, of course he would say that. He's trying to do stuff.
Admittedly, we did think it was such a good gesture for Noah to be like, yeah, let's go get a bath. And that's like a huge step forward for like acceptance. And like, even though he had just said like, hey, I'm bi, and he's like, okay, let's go get a bath.
And to build on what you just said there as well, like with acceptance, right? Like he was obviously nervous. He was visibly nervous on his entrance interview, but he was nervous on how people would react. You know, he's been holding this, he's been hiding this, he's been covering these feelings, hiding them forever. You know, looking up every time he goes to an onsen, keeping eyes waist level and being conscious of that whenever he's in public with naked dudes. And so he's obviously, I think it would be a huge relief to him, to know that like this straight guy who I'm attracted to, is just treating me like a normal guy. He's not treating me any differently. So good on Noah for that. I'll give him props for that. But also like, should we be giving props for that? Like that should hopefully just be normalized by now. I would hope.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's not give him too many points for that.
Yeah.
For being a decent human being.
Good point.
Yeah, I mean, Shunsuke even talks a little bit about that time where he like was in the bath with Noah, and he said that he was trying not to look down on purpose. He was trying not to look at his lower body on purpose.
Oh yeah,
and
you want to see him as a guy, is what he said.
Yeah,
and
but I think in the Japanese, Shunsuke does say "ochinchin," which I'm pretty sure is dick.
Yep.
Ochinchin is the Japanese word for dick.
Yep.
I did not know this.
Chin.
I did not know this.
So he said in Japanese, like, I didn't want to look down at his dick, but the translators, I guess, were very nice and just said his lower body.
Yeah. Ochinchin, is that right?
Chin chin.
Mm-hmm. Just chin chin? Okay. Wow.
I mean, O is like, when you put O in front of it, it's like more respectable. So he was like the respectable version of
Mr.
his
PC.
dick.
Mr. Dick.
Sounds like the Japanese way of saying pee-pee. Like, oh, his pee-pee. His chin-chin.
It kind of is.
Yeah.
And her pachingo.
Yikes.
Whoa.
So they also ask him about his relationship with Aya and Yui. And I mean, like, spoiler alert, they got along very well, all three of them. And Shunsuke basically confirmed what we've all been saying about Yui for forever now. She's a mom. A total 100% mom. Shunsuke wishes she was his mom.
That made me sad.
Yeah.
That made me so sad.
I mean, she can cook. She cleans. She's already doing laundry. She's got notebooks. I don't know. She seems pretty organized.
Yeah.
She scolds people. I like that he included like, she scolded me, and I liked that.
Yeah, like that's an intrinsic
discipline.
part.
Yeah, he wants to be disciplined, like he said. Like he likes people to take control. He's
submissive.
He's submissive. I'll just leave it at that.
He went on to say that he feels uncomfortable in the house, but it was nice to like have people who were around his age, those two girls. So it kind of like helped him open up more. I do wish he opened up a bit more because again, the deleted scenes, fantastic. And they also ask him about Soda, and Shun's like, yeah, Soda's scary.
He'd look grumpy. Yeah. He would be in a bad mood.
He would go to bed early.
So I have a similar work schedule to Soda. I have to get to bed early on weeknights and I have weekends off. But I didn't know until this interview that the rest of the roommates, I mean, it makes total sense. They stayed up late. They were loud at night. Personally, me, I hate to admit it, but I'd be that guy like, I have to get to work early. Can you please? And I would hate to do that. So I wonder how Soda dealt with that. Maybe that's why he was in a grumpy mood.
Well, and add on to the fact, like, he didn't just have to work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. He had to commute to and from. Each commute was like 2.5 hours.
Right.
So he had to get
Brutal.
up even earlier.
Plus, in Japan, no one works almost like anyone with a full-time job does not work 8 hours a day. That's like on a fucking good day too. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot more involved with that. Very few career salarymen work 40 hours a week only, if any.
Yeah. But I don't know. Shunsuke still said like he did still enjoy that date. He thought it was funny watching Soda eat shit in that giant hamster ball on the water. Like, and that was
Like he did?
Yeah. Like everyone
I think
loved
that thing, since we're talking about that ball, I think that thing is just designed to make you eat shit, like you said, Robert. Like, I don't see how you're gonna get any traction and like, you know, create any friction on the water surface and like any locomotion to like travel in within that tiny bullshit pool. It just seems like it's there for you to just try and stand and fucking, you know, because the faster you run, the faster it's just gonna spin and stand still, and then you're just gonna fall on your ass.
Yep.
That's it.
So
That's it.
It's basically a
paid for
public
that.
humiliation ball.
yeah. It seems like it's.
I thought it was really interesting too that like he prefaced everything with like Soda's really grumpy and intimidating, but he was really sweet on the date. You know, he asked me like, do you want to go on the go-karts? Do you want to do this? And as much as we've ragged on Soda consistently, I saw that during the episode that they went on, like the date, that he seemed like he was being a very genuine person and very open to whatever Shunsuke wanted to do.
Yeah, for sure. Like he almost seemed like he was leading the date in some ways, except for that part where they took the selfie, and Soda clearly did not want to take a selfie, but was like, "Okay, I guess."
Yeah, I guess we're doing this.
Yeah,
I attribute that more less to like him being Soda and more him being like he thinks that he's an old guy among all these kids, even though he's like only 25.
That's, you just read took the words out of my mouth right there, Daly, because I was like, that's how he would pose for a selfie with like his little brother or something.
Yeah.
You know, like, oh, silly you.
Yeah, I thought I was just glad that we know now that Soda could have fun after that, but
the second to last question they ask him in the interview, and I think this is kind of an odd question or odd way to phrase it, but they ask him, has your sexuality changed? Or I feel like it's more, you know, like, have you realized who you are more so?
Like you
have
said, that might be a
yourself?
translation thing,
Yeah. And he says that, like, he did some more research online, and a lot of the people online have said they don't have issues with the LGBT community. Everyone he's talked to, like, in person, says they don't have a problem with people who are bisexual, but he internally still doesn't believe them. He still feels like they're just saying that to be nice to him. And he says something that, like, kind of resonated with me. It's something along the lines of that he pretty much held that bias, internal bias, for himself. Like, he was prejudiced against himself in a way, where he wouldn't allow
Shame is a hell of a drug.
Yeah, where he would just refuse to believe in the goodness in other people because, like, for some reason or another, he's been taught that this is bad.
Yeah. Internalized homophobia is a hell of a drug, and it's like even some of literally the gayest people I know that are very out and very happy with themselves still struggle with that, myself included. It's just hard when that's kind of a societal thing.
yeah,
And I can't even imagine in Japan where it's so much more so.
right. And I mean, we're not perfect here in the U.S. either. There's still plenty of places where, you know, being part of the LGBT is not very acceptable. I mean, we just had a headline I saw not that long ago, maybe in this past week, that said that, like, there was this like big time gay conversion counselor that actually just came out as gay. Which is
that's
like,
what I see a lot.
Wow.
You see, the people that hate on gay people the most tend to have some internal demons they're struggling with. It seems like it happens more often than I would have suspected.
right. It's like that movie. It has Kevin Spacey in it.
Great.
It's a good way to start it.
American.
great.
You know what I'm talking about? Help me out,
Seven?
Jack. No.
American Beauty?
No, it's like it's a movie where he basically like just says basically fuck it and like just starts doing whatever the hell he wants, and it's fuck. Is it
American
Beauty?
American Beauty.
American
Yep,
Beauty.
that's it.
I was gonna start joking around and be like, K-Pax, the usual suspects.
No. It's the dude who was like the neighbor or whatever. He was like a military guy, and he was beating the shit out of his son because he thought he was gay or whatever.
Right, and then he ends up kissing the dude and then killing him.
Yeah, he ends up being gay himself.
Spoilers for American Beauty.
Yeah.
That's not something I figured we would have on this show. Just
while we're
saying.
at it, yeah. No,
19
I saw
years
that.
old.
I worked in a movie theater when that was out.
Oof.
You just dated yourself.
How old are you?
Man, I'm just saying. That was it. 99. Someone looked this up, but that was the year of
99,
like
2000.
that was like one of the best movie eras ever. We've talked about this. We're getting off too much on a tangent. Go ahead.
Anyway.
So the interview ends with just him saying again, like, yeah, I still haven't told my parents. Like, they're going to find out when Terrace House airs, which is wild. And he says again, you know, I like basically I don't really care what my parents think. Like, I'll accept whatever they believe. I kind of feel like even if they are prejudiced enough to be like being gay is wrong, I almost think they'd be more pissed about why didn't you tell us first? Like, why is this the way you're telling us?
You would hope. You would hope that they have a good relationship. You know, you just
Yeah.
have no idea, but I would hope so too. I agree with that.
Yeah.
The best situation in that would be like, we're not angry because of your identity. We're angry because you felt that you couldn't share that with us.
Right.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not to say like every family needs to be happy. Like, that's just the way the world works, right? Like, some families just don't get along. I just think that it does seem a little rude that like the way you find out about something so personal about someone you're so close to is via a TV show while they're miles away from you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, maybe he has some kind of inkling that if he were to, you know, have a one-on-one, it just wouldn't go down well. And this is the best way to actually do it.
Yeah.
Robert, just side note here before we get on to the next segment. I had something I wanted to just share, just overall theme kind of stuff.
Well, share it now because we're about to move on to the next piece.
September 2017, guys, The Guardian released an article. This might sound familiar, where the headline reads, "New AI can guess whether you're gay or straight from a photograph. An algorithm deduced the sexuality of people on a dating site with up to 91% accuracy, raising tricky ethical questions." Are you guys aware of this article?
So recently, Colin and I's master's program had an entire convention dealio about AI, and it really centered around like we shouldn't be asking what is the purpose of these, what is going to be the purpose of these technologies versus like, can we do it?
Right.
Like,
It's
we
the Jurassic
can,
Park.
but
It's the
should
Jurassic
we?
Park question. Yeah, Jurassic Park question.
Yeah. And I don't think we should. That's messed
Yeah.
up.
And I didn't get to go to that. I was so sad.
Rip.
Anyway,
Yeah.
You're a bad master student.
I have to work, man. Got to make the
Yeah.
money.
But how will you ever meet the singer from Limp Bizkit?
Okay.
Dude, no joke. It'll happen.
Damn it.
It'll happen.
Okay.
I was thinking this is the week, guys. This is the 1 week where we can get through this shit with no Limp Bizkit references.
You cannot
Thank
fucking
you
blame me this time. It is
for
all
crushing
Robert.
my
all me,
fucking
yeah.
dreams. Anyways, guys, AI picking out gay people, I think that's really strange. And then it's just like the mind wanders into like exactly like to what end is
I mean,
this?
even people that say like, "Oh, I have great gaydar," it's like that's like a threatening thing to say to people who aren't out, and it's like, "Oh, great! So this person just clocks me for something that I haven't shared with them right away. Fantastic!"
And what's extra like sleazy about that AI is it's not even like, you know, oh, okay, I'll like watch a video of this person just be themselves. It's literally just I'm gonna look at their face and I'll immediately be able to tell if they're gay. You know, it's like that. You know, that's literally judging a book by its cover, which my mama said you should only do that with books and video games.
And here's the thing that's scary about it. Extrapolate this, right? Like, I'm not trying to get into all Elon Musk here and have a philosophical talk about AI, but I'm just saying, I'm putting this out there. What else is it going to be able to pick up on? You know what I mean? I mean, there's dogs that can sniff cancer on you. You know what I mean? Like, are insurance agencies going to be like, hey, you have to walk through this dog park before we can give you a quote? Like, you know what I mean? Like, what? I'm just saying, what else is AI going to be able to do with this technology? What else are they going to be able to tell? I mean, iPhone already is scanning my face to unlock it every time, so fucking Apple knows my shit.
Yeah, deep fakes, fam.
They know my face. They know my thumb. They know my what music I like. You know, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of discriminatory things because AI is made by people and people inherently are biased. So that's going to transfer in. It's messed up. But you know what's not messed up? Drag bars. We love drag bars.
That's true.
Drag bars.
I was going to say, last thing I was with AI, last thing I was going to say was that, to quote Joe Rogan, human beings are the sex organs of our AI overlords of the future.
Also, have you ever done DMT?
No, I haven't yet. No. But I hear it's
There's a reason why I don't listen to this man. And it's both of those sentences that were just said.
All right, let's move away from the prequel to Terminator. Let's talk about this special clip. I believe they call it special clip. Where is Shunsuke heading after he leaves the house? And this is pretty cool, actually. It's about a 10-minute long piece of footage where Shunsuke goes to a bar called, I believe, Maruhige in Shinjuku, in a small district of it called Nichome, which is known actually for having the highest per capita number of gay bars in the world. Fun fact.
Interesting. In the world. Wow.
In the world.
Crazy.
If Wikipedia is right. So,
Yeah, hey.
Yeah. I mean, there's a source to it. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. I didn't actually know that about Japan, or that, in general, that there was a place. I mean, I'm sure there are places that have the highest concentration of gay bars, but I didn't think that'd be something that'd be measured. Yet, it's cool that it is. And it's cool that it's in Tokyo or in Shinjuku.
That bar is full of some characters, some people with a lot of character.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of personality.
So
did you write down their names?
I did, and I love their names so much. I kind of want to have like a philosophical discussion about one of their names. So Shinsuke walks in, sits at the bar, orders one beer, which comes, by the way, in like the daintiest little glass. I love it. It's like a tumbler, like a half glass tumbler full of beer.
Mm-hmm.
It's so good. And there are two drag queens at the bar. Izumi Bullet Point Sexy. Don't quite know how you're supposed to pronounce that. And Baby No Bitch.
What is it?
Baby No Bitch.
What is it?
Baby No Bitch.
Baby No Bitch.
It's just fun to say. Baby No Bitch.
And so I want to throw it to you guys. Is he saying a baby, not a bitch? Or is he saying he's like the baby of a bitch, because baby no bitch, right? Like Japanese.
He's saying that he's a baby and he's not a bitch. That's what he's saying. He's saying like daddy needs his medicine. Like he's saying baby no bitch.
Nah.
He's saying I'm a baby and I ain't no bitch. I think that's that's my takeaway.
It's pretty much bitch baby is what he's saying.
Bitch baby.
I think that's
I like that.
Yeah, bitch baby.
Bitch baby.
Look at that baby over there.
That's my new gamer tag.
Yeah,
What the fuck's gonna do, no bitch?
You little bitch.
Yeah, how many people already have that as a gamer tag? You would think.
Oh, it's so
Damn.
good. But
Anyways,
honestly,
this conversation goes pretty deep.
It goes pretty deep, and
Yeah.
it has like a lot of interesting insights into just like gay culture in Japan in general. So I guess it opens up with the drag queen bartenders asking Shunsuke, like, so what brings you here? Like, no ordinary straight guy walks into here, so what's got you here? And Shunsuke gives his whole, his whole spiel about he's found his sexuality and etc.
It's kind of like he went to Dagobah and learned from Yoda. In a way, it's like he learned from the oracles, the ones that are well experienced, well aware of themselves. He needed to kind of express, he needed to kind of grow there, and he wanted to be with like kindred spirits and feel, he was somewhere where he's comfortable, not being judged. It's kind of like he was there again to just be himself. And
Yeah.
Are you saying that he went to the Jedi Masters?
Guys, so
Let me join with this
will act
side.
as my resignation from
Okay.
Tadaima. So I will not be here next week or any of the
Tender
following
your
weeks.
resignation. If only we paid you, right?
Really though.
I expect my severance package next week.
Yes. So no, but this is just the early goings, right? He went there again to just be himself. I don't know, someone else talk.
Yeah. The biggest takeaway I got from this conversation is that I think one of his main holdups with him like embracing his identity as a bisexual man was that he was like, I don't know if I'm attracted to men sexually. I'm definitely like, oh, he's cute or whatever, but I've never had sex with a man. I've never even held hands with a man. So am I allowed to claim that? And it was like, yeah, you are. There was a very graphic, I guess, conversation about like, yeah, we figured out like, as long as we get hard, we're like, yeah, clearly we're gay.
Yeah. I mean,
well, let all
big
spells
giveaway,
fails, I
like
guess. Yeah.
no shit, Sherlock.
Yeah, I think Baby No Bitch actually said something like, I said earlier that it's about liking the guys, but really for me, it's more like I want to have sex with them. I want to blowjob. Like I just need that.
Yeah, it was
like straight
that
up.
was the
like,
specific.
Yeah, to the hard facts, if you know what I mean. And I think another part of it too is that you're welcome. Shunsuke doesn't exactly know how to talk about this yet. Like it's still kind of a new concept to him that the way to talk about it still feels a little bit out of his reach. Like there's a really good example of it in the beginning where he's saying something along the line, like he talks about his date with Soda, and he was talking about how he was wondering if there was a way he could see Soda like a girl would see him. Like he takes a moment to like find the way to say that, and then Baby No Bitch is just straight up like, oh, you mean like you're wondering if you could have sex with him? Just like straight to the point, like like for Shunsuke, he didn't. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
All right, he just couldn't think of that phrase like immediately. It was just he still felt like he was talking about it like from an outside perspective, rather than truly living in that identity.
Right.
Okay. To me, that was one area, to be totally honest with you guys, like that gave me pause, I guess I'll say, where Shunsuke was talking about like, what if I like a guy, what should I do when he's straight, right? Like, and I was like, oh, he's still got to figure that out, meaning like he might make some really terrible mistakes, if he never were to talk to these guys and get that advice, right? Because it is confusing, right? Like I was worried, like they're like, just drop it. I mean, to me, I guess from the outside looking in, like, yeah, duh, obviously you just drop it. Like, but Shinsuke's got to figure that out for himself too. It's kind of like trial and error thing. So I'm kind of glad like he talked to them before rather than learning it the hard way, right? Because and it was good advice, I thought. They're like, if the guy's straight, like you just don't even let yourself go there because there's nothing that can be done about it. But then they did say like, didn't they say something like, well, you could try once, and that's,
right.
and that's
you could try.
I think that was just a cheeky little
right. So I was like, oh man, yeah, I guess that's not just like common knowledge. Like you got to figure that out along the way. You just, something I never considered, I guess, in my ignorance.
And what's cool too is Baby No Bitch. It just sounds weird, like saying that seriously.
What's really cool is that
Papa don't preach.
So Baby No Bitch brings up the sexuality spectrum, which is very cool, about how you're not really like necessarily one straight up identity, and that's what makes it so hard to find yourself in some ways, right? Because like you can find labels that maybe are partially what you are, but at the end of the day, it's you who defines who you are, what you like, what you don't like. And he says this quote, listening to us, seeking advice from us, the drag queens, is good, but you've also got to follow your own heart, right? To like really understand who you are, what you like.
Yeah, I love that because I think so far, especially every time he talked about like doing research or whatever, it seemed like he was looking for someone to say, oh, you're this. When really he's got to be the one that's like, oh, okay, I'm this. And also accepting that is something that can be fluid. Sexuality is fluid. Gender is fluid. Everything's just a social construct. Just be who you want to be. And even though it's hard to when society is telling you one thing.
Can I have a moment with you guys right now? Give you a little just
moment
autobiographical anecdote here. So I'm old, right? Obviously, I'm probably as old as some of the people that are listening to the show. So I remember a time when just saying the F word was like no thing. Like you would just say that to someone, walking on the street, like, hey, don't be a, you know what I mean? And it was just like, it wasn't really like flinched at or anything. It was just part of the parlance of America. Obviously, it's not like that anymore, and for the better. I'm glad of that. But I definitely had an ignorant attitude when it came to anyone that wasn't cisgendered or just heterosexual when I was young and growing up, right? Just as a product of my environment. But then, like the thing that made me consider like, hey, maybe this is not a good like frame of mind to go through is like you just put yourself. The easy way to put yourself in their shoes is just be like, listen, like. you've been in love before, right? And you felt love for another person that isn't your family, you know, or relative or anything, or close friend. And how would you feel if someone told you you're not allowed to feel that way? You can't act out on those feelings. Like, it's very suppressing, and it's very, like, I would be severely depressed if, like, my wife, for instance, if someone told me, hey, it's wrong to love your wife. You can't do that. You can't be together. You have to be with this group of people that we think you should be, not how you feel. And so, like, just when I would ask myself that question, really reflect on that, I was like, you know what? Like, there's another way. There's a better way. So I feel like I've been around for the progress. Like, I remember even when Obama said, what was that, like 2010-ish, something like that? I'm going to get that date wrong. Where he's like, yeah, it's okay for homosexuals to be married and stuff like that. And it's like, wow, we have the leader of the free world finally saying this. Like, it took way too long, but it was like, it at least felt like progress in the right direction. So that was all. I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, better
Don't really
progress.
have anywhere to go from that.
Better progress than the kind that America is making right now.
Yeah. Or
Hey.
Japan.
Politics.
Just Japan has made some better steps in some ways, in that, like, they don't have, like, gay marriage legalized, but there's a lot of places that you can get, like, a certificate that's the, like, domestic partner equivalent and the same benefits. But Japan has also taken some steps backwards. Like, this month, actually, in January of 2019, we live in 2019, they were like, okay, people can change their gender and, you know, be trans, but they have to get sterilized first.
Yikes.
Which, you know, isn't cool.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Like,
Yeah, that
Yay.
that's awful.
What's the theory behind that? Look, our birth rate's low, so if these people want to live, we have to make sure they can't baby.
Or no,
Like,
I think
Yeah.
what they're saying is that they think it's genetically passed on and they don't want to perpetuate this. That's what
we
it sounds
don't
like
want-
to me.
We don't want the children to catch the gay.
The gay.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's
I don't know.
kind of we live in a tough world, right? Where, like, everyone thinks differently. I mean, America runs on a 2-party system. A lot of European countries run on, like, a 15-party system, you know? And then you have Russia that runs on a 1-party. But nonetheless, like, everyone thinks differently. Everyone wants different things. But at the end of the day, I just don't understand why people are like, you can't feel what you want to feel. You have to feel the feelings that I want you to feel. That's just such
You have
an
to fit in this-
inherently...
Yeah, you have to fit in this very
Weird and
tight, needy
controlling.
box, you know, a tidy box here in my mind in order to live your life.
Yeah. It's,
You know,
it's-
why can't we go back to the way things were when things were traditional and people would do nothing but just push down everything inside and they just won't talk about things? I miss those days when everything was just hunky-dory and I came home to my wife in my small suburban home and she cooked my dinner and she took the dog out and fed my kids and sent them off to school while I worked and slaved while I also had an affair with my mistress.
Oh, man.
I feel like if you went any longer, my heart would have just immediately been like, fuck, am I in Ohio again? What's happening?
Dude, citizens of the internet now, if you can imagine a time where the internet does not exist, how does that change life? Literally, a dude could have 2 families living in the same neighborhood and they would never even know about each other. That would happen, I don't want to say a lot, but it happened enough to just become like a thing now, like where you talk about that.
Yeah.
But yeah, before the internet existed, you could have 2 fucking families in the same city, in the same fucking, like, 8 miles apart, and they would never know. They would never know. So thank you, internet. We don't have that anymore, and I think that's a good thing, I would say.
Yeah. So basically what we're saying here is things today still aren't perfect. They'll never be perfect because you can always get better, right?
Or perfect.
But more perfect, if you will. But if at the very least we're doing better today than we ever have in the past, because bringing it back to the drag queens, both Baby No Bitch and Azumi Bullet Point Sexy were both saying how, like, because Shunsuke asked them what their first times were like, and they were both saying it was really cool and really gratifying to be able to share this important part of myself with someone else who feels the same way. But at the same time, they felt this deep, intense sense of guilt, as if they had done something forbidden because society willed it to be so. We don't live in as bad of a world today. At least I'd like to hope. There might be some parts of the world that still do think that way, but, you know, on the whole, if you're on the internet, you know, it's a little better, hopefully. than that.
It gets better.
It does.
We're getting better.
Yeah, they even say, Shunsuke, you're blessed to be born at this time in this era, because there are celebrities on TV that are openly gay, bi, queer in some way. There are role models for you to look up to. It's a lot more accepted. There's an entire district in Japan where you can go to more gay bars than anywhere else in the whole world. Live it, love it, learn it.
Got choices.
Yeah, but I think since it sounds like we're starting to wrap up here, just like to say that Shunsuke, we're glad that you were on the show.
Not long enough.
No,
and
definitely not.
But he was, like I said, he was a groundbreaker, and here's to seeing where that leads to in the future.
Yeah. Does he have an Instagram?
Shinsuke.
Maybe we should keep up with him on Instagram to see what he does, see what's going on.
He does have a Twitter.
He does? Okay.
Yeah.
I wonder if he's since found a male companion. I'd be really happy for him if he did.
I have to keep up with that.
All right. Let us wrap the show up. We've given Shunsuke his fair shake, his due.
He's got something no one else has got on this damn podcast. His own episode.
Well, I mean, Noah and Sana got their own episode.
Yeah, but they're two people. This is a one-man show, literally.
He needed it. No one else has been talking about him.
True.
Yeah, this show must be done.
Guys, maybe we should do one about Wes next. No one talked about him.
He rapped about Instagram.
He did.
That's it.
All right.
That's it. That's
Way
the
to
whole
close the show. Way to close.
Yeah, let's wrap us up here. So we want to post another discussion question on the Facebook group at Tadaima Clan. So if you want to join the group, join our discussion, have fun with us, it would be most appreciated. So this week we're going to be posting the question: how do these extra scenes that we've been going over about Shunsuke change your impression of him? Do you think it's for the better, for the worse? Should these scenes have been in the show? Would it have changed how you feel about him? You can let us know on Facebook at Tadaima Clan. If you have any questions, comments, theories, anything you want us to discuss on the show, you can email any and all of those things to us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com. Next Monday, guys, we're going to get crunk. We're going to get wild. It's our 21st birthday. So we're just going to drink a lot and have a lot of fun talking about weird things, like all the times that the cast members got drunk and who do we think would win in a bloodbath battle royale to the death. So yeah, that is what will be happening next Monday. So we hope you enjoy as we're ramping things up to part 6, which should be dropping fairly soon, hopefully. Until then, this has been Tadaima. Thanks for listening. Itakimasu!
Email us at questions@terracehousepodcast.com. Follow us on Instagram at TadaimaGram, on Twitter at TadaimaPod, and check us out on Facebook and YouTube at Tadaima, a Terrace House podcast.